Namaste. Welcome to EPG Pathshala. This is V. Premalatha, Assistant Professor working in the Department of Performing Arts, Sri Venkateshwara University, Tirupati. Today in this module we are going to see about the musical instruments of South India in the paper Indian Aesthetics and Fine Arts under the subject Indian Culture. Musical instruments are very helpful along with the voice to bring out the music, and in this module we are going to see about the different types of classical music instruments used in South India, and also we will know the various classification systems or the types of classification of these musical instruments, and we will also be going through the structure, construction, tuning and playing methods of some instruments. To begin with, music instruments are classified under four main categories from the ancient period as prescribed in the ancient Shastras. They are the Tatavadyas, Avanadavadyas, Ganavadyas, Shushiravadyas. Tatavadyas are the stringed instruments, Avanadavadyas are the percussion instruments which are made of leather, and the Ganavadyas are made of metals. The Shushiravadyas are the wind instruments. Instruments in the present day are being classified into the string instruments, wind instruments, percussion instruments and electronic instruments. Of course, recently we have got several electronic and digital versions of classical conventional instruments. Another mode of classifying the musical instruments is those instruments that are used in classical music or the art music like the violin, Viņā, Mrdanga and others. And some of the music instruments, if you see, they are used profusely in folk music. Folk music is the music of the common man, where you don't have very strict kind of scientific and systematic tuning and other things. They are used as such, like the Dilruba, Ektar and other things. And there are specific instruments which are used at different times of rituals, different rituals in the temples of India. And for example, you have Nāgasvara, the Panchamukha Chenda. These are all some of the instruments which are mainly used during the temple rituals. Now, in this module, we will be going to have a detailed note on some of the classical music instruments like the Tambura, Viņā, Violin, Gotuvadya, Flute, Nāgasvaram, Mrdanga, Ghatam, Kanjira, Morsing and Jalatrangam. We will have a look at it one by one. The first is the Tambura. This is a prominent and an important musical instrument, but it is actually not a melodic instrument. It is a primary drone instrument, also called as the Shruti Vadya. You would have seen that in any concert there will be a player of Tambura sitting behind, just tuning the Tambura like this, and it gives a constant support to the singer to adhere to the pitch or the Shruti. It is played throughout and there is no melodic variations. It's just the sa, pa, sa combinations being just plucked with the help of the strings, and it gives us the tonal or the Shruti support. The various parts of the Tambura are the bowl, the dandi, neck, the tuning pegs, strings, bridge, jivali, the beads and the sound holes. There are 4 strings in the Tambura and they are tuned to the Mandra Shadja, the Madhya Shadja, the Madhya Shadja again and the Mandra Panchama. Now can we have just a small, see how it is actually played. You can see at the picture where the Tambura is placed on the lap and it is plucked with the right hand, and the performer will be sitting, and most of the cases the performer will not be playing the Tambura. We will have a separate person accompanying on the Tambura, and the strings are plucked with the right hand, starting with the first string with the middle finger and the remaining strings with the index finger. Can we just hear to the sound of a Tambura how it sounds when it is plucked? The next important music instrument of South India is the Veena. It is an ancient instrument and it has undergone plenty of changes in its structure. And if you look at a Veena, it consists of a large bowl which extends as a long neck and there are frets on it. Towards the left is again another smaller bowl, the resonator, and these two are connected with the dandi or bow. And the neck at the left curves and it is attached to the head of a mythological animal called as the Yarimukha. You have the pegs, tuning pegs, the 4 on this side and a 3 towards the front side. And there are 4 main playing strings and you have 3 tala strings, and these are attached and tuned with the tuning pegs. You have there is a bridge over which the strings come on, and you will have this. You can have the minute adjustments done with the help of the beats. You can have a detailed structure of a veena now, how it is made. The playing technique of veena is very simple. It is placed on the performer should be squatting on the ground. In a squatted position, he has to keep the veena, the right side of the veena kodam on the ground and the left side resonator on his left thigh. And when the performer sits cross-legged, he should hold the veena with the small resonator on the left thigh, and with the left 2 fingers of the left hand will be placed on the frets, and that is the index and the forefinger. And the index and the forefinger of the right hand will be helpful in plucking the strings. And there are 3 tala strings, as I mentioned earlier, which will be plucked with the little finger of the right hand. And now we will just listen how a veena sounds when it is played. The next instrument and the most important instrument in the present day Carnatic classical music is the violin. It is a popular musical instrument and a prominent primary accompaniment in the concerts. The violin has various parts like the resonating body, the neck, the screw, the tuning pegs, the fingerboard, a bridge, strings, the F-holes. The violin is played along with a bow. There are 4 strings on which the bow is just brushed or rubbed. And if you see this picture, the chin rest should be towards your chin, and the scroll and the bottom portion, which we see towards the right, should be placed on near the legs, and the way with the right hand the bow has to be just gently brushed on the strings. Traditionally in Carnatic music, one will sit cross-legged and it is placed on the artist the right ankle. If we see that the same violin is being played in a standing position in Western music, and they probably in many cases they also play the instrument while sitting on a chair. The back of the violin rests on the left shoulder and the violin is held with the left hand and the bowing is done with the right hand. Can we listen to a small audio clip of a violin playing? The next important traditional music instrument of South India is the Gotuvadya. We see that this looks very similar to Veena, but there is a great change in it. That is, although externally it looks similar, the main difference between this Gotuvadya and the Veena is that there are no frets. In the Veena we had 24 frets and the fingers were placed on each of the frets like this to give the music. But in Gotuvadya there are no frets at all, but the number of strings differ in this, and there are 6 main strings, 3 tala strings and 11 or 12 sympathetic strings. The sympathetic strings go underneath and the 6 strings are tied at the end of the kudam, and externally the structure looks very much like the Veena. The other end of the dandi is connected to a secondary resonator, and the entire Gotavadyam is kept on the ground. And the player usually has a wooden blank in his left hand, and he rubs on the strings, and the plucking is done with the right hand so that the music is produced. Occasionally the sympathetic strings are also plucked, and the tala strings, as in the case of Veena, tala strings are also plucked during the different places where it has to be plucked according to the musical form played. The sympathetic strings give a very good scintillating sound to the Gotavadyam. Now let's just listen to a small clip of the Gotavadya, how it sounds when it is played. Another important musical instrument of South India is the Nāgasvara. This is most popular and widely used, and a traditional instrument used mostly in the temples and auspicious festivals like marriages and any other auspicious functions in the society. It is also considered as a Mangalavadya. Earlier it was said that the Nāgasvara was in the shape of a serpent, and later it changed into the present shape. This is an example of an woodwind instrument. The Nāgasvara consists of a long wooden conical bore which enlarges downwards. There is a metal staple at the top of the cone which is called as the male anaisu. The small metallic cylinders are introduced in the metal staple, and the mouthpiece or the jivali is inserted into this. The conical tube is then attached to a metallic bell at the bottom. There are 7 finger holes in the instrument, and at the bottom there are 5 other holes. They serve as the sound controllers. We can also see how a Nāgasvara is manufactured. In the e-text we have given you a link to a video where you can see how a Nāgasvaram is manufactured and how it comes to the present shape. The pitch of the Nāgasvaram is determined by the time it is manufactured. So you cannot alter the pitch. As in the case of violin or veena, you can alter the pitch little here and there according to the requirement. But in the Nāgasvaram, it is determined and established at the time of manufacture itself. Slight changes in the notes, the semitones or the quarter notes or anything can be done by varying the power of blowing the air in the instrument or by closing the holes near the base with wax. Now we will just listen to a small clipping of a Nāgasvara, how it sounds when it is played. The next important wind instrument of Indian Carnatic music, Indian music, is the flute. It is one of the ancient musical instruments of the world. It is actually a long cylindrical tube of uniform bore which is closed at one end. Air is blown through the mouth hole, and the vibration of the air column produces the musical sound. The length of a flute is approximately 14 inches, and there are different varieties where the lengths might vary and the output sound or the pitch differs according to the length. It is made of bamboo, sometimes ivory, sandalwood, reed or even gold and silver. A mouth hole is placed at a distance of about an inch from the closed end. There are 8 or 9 finger holes made on the tube in a straight hole, and they are comparatively smaller than the mouth hole. Air is blown through that, and by closing and opening of the holes we get the differences in the pitches. Usually the flute is held horizontally in an inclined position from the ground, and the middle 3 fingers of the left and the 4 fingers excluding the thumb of the right are used to play the 7 holes of the flute. Air is blown through the mouth hole, and the variations in the pitch are obtained by closing and opening the holes by the 7 fingers. There are different very important essential aspect of this flute playing is the techniques like the breath control, the lip control, the finger control and the tongue control. They all play an important role in bringing out the nuances of music in its whole form. Now just we will have a small listening to the flute, how it sounds when we play. The next important and a very primary percussion instrument of South India is the Mrdanga. Mrdanga, literally it means a clay body. In the ancient times, it was said that it was made out of clay, but nowadays it's made of wood. The Mrdanga consists of a barrel-shaped resonator with two faces. The right face is usually little smaller than the left face. On the right face, there are 3 layers of skin, which one is in the inner side. At the center, there is a circular black paste called the karane. The 2 ends of the Mrdangam are fastened to leather hoops with 16 interspaces, and they are then tied to the leather straps or with these spaces. Mrdangam is usually placed on the lap of the player, or sometimes it is kept in front of the player on the ground. You can see the 2 varieties in the picture below, where sometimes it is placed on the ground, or many of the mridangists keep them on their lap also. It is played with both the hands, and the thumb is placed on the circular face. The wrist is also used sometimes to bring out special effects, mostly with the 2 hands on either sides of the instrument, and with the wrist and the palm and everything, the whole hand reacts and brings out the tonal effect from the mridangam. Can we listen to a mridangam sounding from when the instrument is played? The next important primary musical instrument of South India is Ghatam. This is also another ancient musical instrument. It is actually a large clay pot with a narrow mouth. It's used as one of the percussive accompaniments in South Indian classical music concerts even today. As I said, it is made of clay and is usually mixed with iron or brass fillings. It is made of a single homogeneous material and it has no detachable parts. It's just a pot. The variations in the sound can be produced by putting pressure near the outer rim of the pot with the left hand. Sound is again caused by the striking of the pot by both the hands. Now let's listen how music is produced from Ghatam. The next important secondary percussion instrument in South Indian classical concert is Kanjira. This is actually a one-side circular wooden frame with a metallic disc that produces jingling sound. It is normally held in the left hand and played with the palm and fingers of the right hand. The variations in the sound can be produced by applying the pressure near the outer rim of the Kanjira with the left hand. Can we listen to the Kanjira playing? The next instrument that we are going to deal with today is Morsing. It is also called as Moorchang. It's a small circular iron ring to which a thin elastic iron strip is attached. The tongue or the iron strip passes through the middle of the ring through a beak. The base of the main frame is incomplete and the open end tapers into this beak. The tongue is slightly curved at the free ends and protrudes beyond the ring at the other end. The morsing is usually held between the thumb and the forefinger of the left hand, and the narrow portion is inserted into the mouth. The curved end of the tongue is plucked with the forefinger of the right hand. You can see as the picture shows how it is held with the left hand and how it is plucked with the right hand. The cavity of the mouth here serves as the resonator. Different kinds of sounds are produced by opening the mouth wider and by breath control. Now let's listen to how the morsing sounds when it is played. The next musical instrument that we are going to deal with today is Jalatrangam. It is an ancient solo instrument and it is usually accompanied by the Mrdanga. Jalatrangam is nothing but a set of porcelain bowls of varying sizes and that are kept in front of the performer, filled with water according to the pitch. The changes in the pitch level can be brought in by adjusting the volume of water in each of the cups. The bowls are arranged in a semicircular shape in front of the performer and the bowls are hit with two small sticks to produce the music. The sound produced from this Jalatranga is really scintillating, and can we just listen to a small clipping of the Jalatranga? Till now in this module we saw the different types of classification systems of the musical instruments in general from ancient times. But still today we keep up the same thing like the stringed instruments, wind instrument, percussion instruments. Of course we have many electronic versions too, and in this module we also had an idea about the different musical instruments used in Karnataka music, their structure, the method of playing, and also listen to how the music sounds when the instruments are played. In the e-text or the quadrant 1, we have provided the main exponents or the personalities of these musical instruments. There are also, if you want for further learning, we can listen to the music from the YouTube, or you can listen to the web links given in the quadrants. You can also go to the site where you can get different and varied examples and descriptions about the structure and other versions of the musical instruments. Thank you.